In the late 1990s, Circuit City was America's electronics empire, pulling in over $12 billion as shoppers flocked to cutting-edge stores for hands-on advice and the latest tech. Inside, pressure mounted, resources drained into risky side bets like DivX, while the move away from appliances and a legendary sales culture left cracks invisible to customers. How could the giant poised to own the future fall so hard and so fast? The real story begins where confidence and distraction collide. A trip to Circuit City in the late 1990s felt like stepping into the future. The air buzzed with the hum of demo televisions, each tuned to a different channel, their colors flickering across rows of screens. Music drifted from stereo systems lined up for testing, and the latest computers sat ready for hands-on trial, their screens glowing with new possibilities. Shoppers packed the aisles, especially during the holidays, weaving through towers of boxed video cassette recorders, camcorders, and stacks of game consoles. Kids darted toward the video game displays, parents compared home theater setups, and everywhere a red-jacketed associate seemed ready to help. Circuit City stores were designed for discovery. Wide aisles, demo walls, and hands-on displays invited people to linger, tinker, and imagine what the newest gadgets could do at home. The company's radio and television ads became part of the season, reminders that something exciting was waiting just off the highway, under the Red Tower. On Black Friday and through December, the parking lots overflowed, and inside, the energy was electric. It was more than shopping. It was a ritual, a place where technology and aspiration met. At the heart of this experience stood the sales staff. Unlike most retailers, Circuit City paid its associates commission on sales. For customers, this meant guidance from someone who knew the difference between a rear projection and a plasma television, who could explain the pros and cons of different sound systems, or help a parent compare the specs on a new desktop for their college-bound kid. Many employees built careers in these stores, developing a level of product knowledge that made them trusted advisors. The best learned to read a customer's uncertainty, to recommend just the right upgrade, and to close the sale with a handshake. For years, this commission culture set Circuit City apart. It attracted people who wanted to be experts and rewarded them for it. By the early 2000s, the company was riding high. Annual revenue soared past $12 billion, with more than 600 stores stretching from coast to coast. Circuit City had become a Fortune 500 mainstay, second only to Best Buy in electronics retail. The stores carried the latest in televisions, audio, computers, and gaming. Each category carefully merchandised, each product supported by a salesperson who had a stake in getting it right. For many families, the store was a first stop for every new wave of technology, from DVD players to early flat panel displays. Yet, beneath the surface, questions lingered. What protected this empire from the shifts in technology and competition just beginning to accelerate? Was the commission model a strength or a cost too high to sustain? As shoppers left with their new purchases, few could see the pressures building behind the scenes. The experience felt seamless, but the foundation was more fragile than anyone realized. In a world where electronics felt like tomorrow, Circuit City seemed ready to own the future. But how does a company with so much to offer lose its way so completely? The answer, as it turned out, would begin with the very people who made the store special. DivX arrived in stores in 1998 as Circuit City's bold answer to the future of home video. The pitch sounded simple: buy a disc for a few dollars, watch it for 48 hours, and pay again if you wanted more time. But the reality was tangled in restrictions. Each player needed a phone line, every viewing triggered a charge, and after 2 days the movie locked unless you paid again. While standard DVD offered unlimited playback, DivX demanded ongoing fees and limited ownership. Consumers bristled. Home theater enthusiasts, tech writers, and even some studios pushed back, calling the system confusing and anti-consumer. Adoption lagged. In less than 2 years, Circuit City shut down the format, refunding customers and taking a $114 million charge. By the end, the company had sunk over $200 million into DivX, a failed experiment that drained capital and management attention just as the digital landscape was shifting. While DivX was unraveling, another major bet was taking root. In 1993, Circuit City launched CarMax, a used car superstore that borrowed the big box playbook from electronics and applied it to auto sales. The idea worked. CarMax expanded quickly, and after a successful tracking stock initial public offering in 1997, it repaid Circuit City's original $170 million investment. By 2002, CarMax was spun off entirely, distributing over $1.2 billion in value to shareholders. But with CarMax gone, Circuit City lost a valuable growth engine. The electronics core stood exposed, its fortunes now tied to a retail market growing more competitive by the year. Even within its main stores, Circuit City began to pull back from categories that once anchored its business. In 2000, under CEO Alan McCulloch, the company stopped selling major appliances, refrigerators, washers, and dryers that had driven steady store traffic and high-margin warranty sales. The move freed up floor space but left stores with empty gaps and fewer reasons for families to visit. Best Buy, by contrast, kept appliances and used them to draw shoppers who might leave with a TV or stereo too. Circuit City's decision reduced differentiation and cross-selling opportunities, stranding square footage and weakening its position just as rivals pressed harder. Each of these moves pulled resources and attention away from the core electronics business. DivX's costly detour, the CarMax spin-off, and the exit from appliances tied up capital and management focus. Money that might have gone into e-commerce, supply chain upgrades, or staff training was instead locked in side bets and reversals. Leadership's appetite for big swings left the company less nimble and more vulnerable, even before the full force of digital competition arrived. The foundation that once seemed solid was already showing cracks, the result of choices that diluted focus and left the company exposed to the next wave of retail change. Best Buy's stores looked different, and not just in layout. By the early 2000s, they had dropped the commission model, trading sales pressure for a more relaxed, self-service environment. Shoppers could browse without feeling cornered, and the emphasis shifted to letting customers discover at their own pace. But the real advantage came in 2002, when Best Buy acquired Geek Squad. Suddenly, in-home tech support and installation became part of the pitch. Geek Squad agents in crisp uniforms and black and white cars brought a new level of trust to computer repairs, TV setups, and network troubleshooting. For families wrestling with new gadgets, that promise of expert help at home or in store became a deciding factor. Circuit City's service desk, by comparison, felt old-fashioned and lacked the national branding or seamless integration that Geek Squad delivered. Amazon was rewriting the rules at the same time. In 2005, the launch of Amazon Prime changed what people expected from online shopping. For a flat annual fee, Prime members got fast, reliable shipping, sometimes in just 2 days, often for free. Electronics, once considered too bulky or risky to buy online, started moving in huge numbers. Shoppers could read reviews, compare prices, and order with a click, often paying less than in stores. When a TV or laptop arrived on the doorstep days later, the convenience was hard to ignore. Circuit City's website, meanwhile, lagged in features and fulfillment. Inventory was sometimes out of date, and shipping times could not compete with Amazon's growing logistics machine. A new kind of customer behavior took hold: showrooming. People would visit brick-and-mortar stores to test out a device, ask questions, and then buy online for less. Best Buy and Circuit City both felt the effects, but Best Buy's investment in in-store pickup, price matching, and integrated service helped blunt the impact. Circuit City, with fewer digital tools and less flexibility, struggled to keep those customers from walking out empty-handed. The bar for service and fulfillment kept rising. Best Buy's Geek Squad became a household name, offering help before and after the sale. Amazon Prime made fast delivery the baseline, not a bonus. Shoppers expected advice, support, and convenience, all at a competitive price. Circuit City now faced a world where selling electronics was not enough. The value proposition depended on what happened before, during, and after the sale, and the competition was redefining every step. Pressure mounted as these new standards took hold. Customers compared not just prices, but the total experience. Could they get help setting up their new TV? Would the store honor an online price? Would the product arrive quickly with no hassle? Every decision by Best Buy and Amazon raised expectations. Circuit City, once the experts' destination, now had to meet demands it had not seen coming. The gap between what shoppers wanted and what the stores offered was widening, and the clock was ticking. In 2002, Circuit City tried to catch up in online retail by acquiring the assets of 800.com, a web-based electronics seller that had gone under in the dot-com bust. The purchase brought over a customer list and some digital infrastructure, but it did not close the growing gap with Amazon or even Best Buy. Circuit City's website remained clunky, with outdated inventories and slow shipping. Online sales were treated as a side channel, not the core of the business. While Amazon invested in fast delivery and a seamless user experience, Circuit City's e-commerce operation lagged behind, missing the moment when consumers began to expect more from buying electronics online. Inside the stores, the next wave of cuts was already underway. In 2003, the company eliminated commission pay and laid off nearly 3,900 experienced salespeople, staff who had built their careers on product expertise and customer relationships. The move saved an estimated $130 million a year, but it stripped stores of the knowledge that once set Circuit City apart. Associates who stayed were converted to hourly roles, while many of the best left for competitors or left the industry entirely. The company rebranded these positions as product specialists, but the depth of advice and real-world experience on the sales floor was never the same. Expertise was being eroded. By the time Philip Schoonover stepped into the chief executive officer role in 2006, the focus had shifted to relentless cost control. Schoonover, who had previously worked at Best Buy, brought in a playbook that prioritized margin targets and shareholder returns. Executive compensation became tightly linked to short-term profit metrics, earnings per share, return on assets, and annual cash bonuses. The board and senior management pushed for quick results, rewarding moves that promised immediate savings even if they undermined the long-term health of the company. Short-term gains began to guide decisions. The most dramatic example came in March 2007, when Circuit City announced it would fire 3,400 of its highest-paid, most experienced store employees. Officially called a wage management initiative, the plan replaced veteran staff with new hires at lower wages. Laid-off workers, many with decades of experience, were told they could reapply for their old jobs at reduced pay. The company framed this as a necessary step to stay competitive, but the effect was immediate. Customers noticed the loss. Advice on complex purchases such as high-definition televisions, surround sound systems, and home networking became harder to find. Service quality dropped, and so did morale among the remaining staff. Analysts and retail experts warned that the cuts had gutted the very expertise customers relied on, turning Circuit City into just another big box with little to offer beyond shelf space. Customers felt the difference right away. These decisions were not isolated. They reflected a pattern of leadership chasing short-term numbers at the expense of the skills and service that had once built loyalty. As labor costs fell, so did the company's ability to help customers navigate new technology. The internal logic was clear: cut expenses, boost margins, and please investors. But every round of layoffs and every missed investment in digital left the company less prepared for a market that was changing faster than ever. The foundation that once supported $12 billion in annual sales was now hollowed out from within, setting the stage for a crisis that could no longer be managed away. Empty shelves became a common sight as Circuit City's supply chain struggled to keep pace with the new retail reality. Years of underinvestment in logistics left stores waiting for high-demand products, while competitors like Best Buy and Amazon kept their aisles and warehouses stocked. In 2008, the situation worsened when major suppliers tightened payment terms, forcing Circuit City to pay upfront or face delayed shipments. Hot items, flat panel TVs, popular laptops, new gaming consoles often ran out just when customers wanted them most. Store managers watched as disappointed shoppers left, sometimes heading straight to a rival or online. The company tried to compete on price, slashing tags to match or beat rivals, but without the scale or efficiency to absorb the blow. Margins, already thin, were squeezed further. Every sale brought in less profit, while fixed costs from large stores and leases remained. The cycle fed on itself. Inventory gaps led to lost sales made it harder to pay suppliers, and tighter credit meant even fewer products on the shelves. The once reliable engine of new gadgets and eager buyers began to sputter, trapped in a spiral that left little room to recover. By the fall of 2008, Circuit City's options were running out. The company's leadership scrambled to secure new financing, hoping to make it through the crucial holiday season, but every bid for rescue fell through. Lenders, shaken by the global credit crisis, tightened terms or walked away. Suppliers demanded upfront payment, and without steady inventory, stores could not keep up with customer demand. The cash crunch deepened, leaving shelves even barer and morale at a low ebb. On November 10, 2008, Circuit City filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The official documents outlined a plan to reorganize, but the reality was grim. Efforts to find a buyer or attract new investment stalled. The holiday season, once a lifeline for electronics retailers, failed to deliver enough sales to reverse the slide. With no viable path forward, the board faced a final decision. In early 2009, Circuit City announced it would liquidate all remaining stores. The news signaled the end of a business that had once brought in over $12 billion a year. By the summer, every United States location was closed. What had started as a single Richmond storefront and grown into a national presence disappeared almost overnight, leaving behind only memories and lessons for the next generation of retailers. Today, retail giants rise, and they vanish faster than ever. As e-commerce reshapes shopping, the fate of Circuit City warns that no lead is permanent, especially when core strengths are sacrificed for short-term gains. In a world where technology and taste shift overnight, the real risk is not competition. It is forgetting why customers trusted you in the first place. What does your loyalty rest on? Let me know in the comments.